If you're tired of running Well of Radiance in Onslaught and you want another very strong build, look no further, this is the one for you. This is a build I've made in the past and it's only gotten better since then. It performs extremely well in things like Onslaught because everything is grouped up together and I don't really see a lot of people talking about it. This is one of my favorite builds in the game and it's going to involve getting a lot of finishers. Really quick, did you know that one man every hour, every single day is diagnosed with testicular cancer? And if that statistic scared you, don't worry, you're not alone. Luckily, Manscaped has partnered with Testicular Cancer Society to help you take care down there. Manscaped sent me a Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, which features an updated trimmer blade, dual skin-safe blade heads, an interchangeable foil blade, a powerful LED light, a 60-minute single charge battery, or are we still going, and a travel lock function, all while being waterproof and completely cordless so you can use it wherever you want. So in addition to the amazing tools Manscaped provides, they're also going to be partnering with an amazing society to help spread awareness for men's health and early cancer detection. Both are committed to supporting everyone who has been impacted, and Manscaped will even be donating $50,000 to do so. And remember, every time you're using a Manscaped product, always be sure to perform self-check routines so you can stay safe. Visit manscaped.com/TCS to learn how to check yourself for early signs of cancer. And finally, if you want 20% off and free international shipping, be sure to use code RESTASSURED at checkout. The links will be down below. I honestly have used Manscaped products for around 3 years now, and I could not recommend them more. All right, jumping right into it, we need to take a look at our exotic, the Fellwinter's Helm, because this is going to be a very crucial part of the build. It says the exotic perk Warlord's In. Power melee final blows create a burst of energy that weakens nearby targets. Finishers and final blows against more powerful targets increases the radius of the burst and the length of the weakening effect. While you can take advantage of the power melee part of this exotic, I would highly recommend playing more into the finisher aspect. There are going to be a bunch of mods and fragments that will further increase this, but if we take a look at the exotic first, when you get a finisher, you're going to cause a burst that will disorient enemies and apply a 30% weakening effect. A 30% weaken is one of the highest debuffs in the entire game, and you can constantly reproc this every single time you get a finisher. Also, in things like Onslaught, disorienting is very strong because it slows the enemies down and essentially makes them blind. So this just means they're going to walk extremely slow to your ADU while they're not even shooting you, and you and your team will be doing 30% more damage to all the enemies that are affected by it. Another cool part about this exotic, if you finish a higher tier enemy, the AoE from the explosion will be a lot larger and hit more enemies. And Onslaught, there are going to be saboteurs everywhere that are going to be easily finishable, and then everything around it is just going to be debuffed like crazy. And it doesn't end there. If we look at some other ways we're going to be buffing up our finisher, we're going to be taking the Fragment Echo of Cessation. So finisher final blows create a burst of void damage that causes nearby combatants to become volatile. Defeating volatile targets creates a void breach. So now, alongside disorienting and weakening, every single enemy will also become volatile. This just adds an extra bit of damage on top of the weaken that you're already getting, and it just makes it a lot easier to kill enemies. The volatile will also chain explode, so if you finish a large group of enemies and shoot one enemy to proc volatile, you can pretty much blow an entire room up. Now, we're also going to be taking Echo of Obscurity, so finisher final blows grant invisibility. This one is pretty self-explanatory. You're going to get a finisher, you're going to go invisible. This is extremely nice in things like Onslaught because if you get a finisher, you're just going to get out of anywhere safely. Not only are the enemies going to be blind, for the ones that don't get blind, you're also not going to be invisible, so they can't see you anyway. It's very beneficial to just go for finishers to stay alive. Typically, you would want to run away from a fight if you're weak, but with this build, if you just proc a finisher, you're going to be pretty much unkillable and you can get out the fight immediately. And talking about being unkillable, the way we're going to be able to achieve that is with two of our armor mods, and that is going to be Proximity Ward, so gaining powerful overshield while performing your finisher. So now, on top of everything that we already said, disorienting, weakening, volatile, invisibility, we're also now going to be granted a very powerful overshield. So you can go in, confidently get that first finisher off because you aren't going to die, then you'll be able to get out with your invisibility and with everything else disoriented, volatile, and weaken. And then the final mod to play into a finisher is going to be Bulwark Finisher. So finisher final blows generate an overshield, consuming 3 or more stacks of armor charge grants a longer duration to the overshield for each charge consumed. This is going to be extremely nice because there's going to be orbs everywhere in Onslaught, so you're always going to have 3 armor charge stacks anyway. So now you're going to go in, get the overshield from the initial finisher, and then after all that's done, you're going to have everything we already talked about, but then you come out with another void overshield every single time you get a finisher. The only caveat is that you do have to have 3 armor charge stacks, but again, there's going to be orbs everywhere in Onslaught, so you pretty much always have 3 all the time, so you can pretty much always know you're going to be getting this overshield every single time you get a finisher. But that is everything that is involving your finisher. You can already see how it's going to be extremely strong, but it doesn't end there. If we take a look at our aspects, we're also going to further play into other parts of our build, and that's going to be with things like Chaos Accelerant. So this is basically just going to to buff all your void grenades. We're going to be taking vortex grenade because this will just increase the size and duration of it. It's just very nice to lock down an area in Onslaught. If you want to take something else, you can, but I do find that this is the best grenade, and it groups enemies up, which makes it even easier to proc your finisher to get everything weakened. Now, on top of that, we're also going to be taking Feed the Void. So defeating a target with a void ability to activate Devour. Your Devour effects are improved, restoring additional health and grenade energy. The main takeaway from this aspect is going to be giving us buff Devour. Every time we get a kill, we will heal to full and grant extra grenade energy compared to the normal Devour. The other added benefit is that if you do get a void ability kill, it is nice and your grenades will be able to kill enemies, but we are going to have other ways to get Devour, and that is going to be with things like Echo of Starvation. So picking up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power grants Devour. Since there are going to be orbs everywhere in Onslaught, and you're going to be able to make Void Breaches once you kill volatile enemies, this is just going to be an extremely easy way to proc Devour. This will synergize with Feed the Void and give you the buff Devour, and I honestly just like having this so I know there's no downtime of Devour. If you want to take something else and you solely want to rely on your Void ability kills to proc Devour, you can absolutely do so, but in my opinion, since this build is a very aggressive build, I like having this as a side little benefit just so I can run over an orb to heal to full. And then the final fragment is going to be Echo of Reprisal. So final blows when surrounded by combatants grants super energy. Once again, this is a very aggressive build. The whole point is to be in a large group of enemies so you can weaken and disorient all of them. Now this just means once you kill all of those enemies, you're also going to get a ton of super energy back. Once again, if you want to take another fragment over this, you absolutely can, but in my playtesting, I think this does perform the best because being able to throw more supers on those harder rounds is very, very nice. And the super I like to run is Cataclysm Nova Bomb. This just does a large amount of damage to a single target. It's also very good for ad clear if a lot of enemies are grouped up. You could even run something like Nova Warp for even more ad clear if you want to, but I definitely would just stick to Cataclysm Nova Bomb. It works the best in my experience. Now, the beautiful thing about this build is that your weapons and your artifact perk literally don't matter whatsoever. Obviously, you want to take weapons to deal with champions and go along with surge mods, but there's no one specific weapon that makes this build work. You can run literally whatever you want to, and your artifact also really doesn't play any benefit either. Obviously, you could play into things like Unraveling Orbs if you're taking a Strain weapon, or you can also play into Wished into Being. Those will work, but there's nothing very crucial to this build to make it function, and that's why I don't really think there's a reason to go over anything super specific with this setup. But now for stats, I would definitely go with 100 Resilience to get 30% damage reduction. You're going to be in a group of enemies all the time with this build. That's how you want to play with it. And now on top of that, I would definitely go with 100 Discipline. This paired with buff Devour would just give you a large amount of grenade energy, so you could throw your vortex grenade to lock down areas even more. And then I just go in recovery just so I can get my rift back a little faster. And in all honesty, the only stat that really matters is 100 Resilience because you just want to be getting finishers over and over again. Now the first mod is just going to be a Siphon mod. I am running a Kinetic Siphon because I am running Midnight Coup right now, but you can swap this out for whatever element that you are running just so you can make orbs for armor charge and also to help your teammates out with their builds. Next up is going to be Dynamo. So when I use my class ability near enemies, I will get some super energy. Since you're going to be able to get your super a lot with this build with our fragment, this is just nice to have. So whenever you use your class ability, you'll get around 5% of your super energy. And since you're picking up Void Breaches, that will also grant class ability, so you can kind of spam these over and over again. That's why I recommend getting your recovery up. Now on top of that, Ashes to Asset, so I get bonus super energy on grenade kills. Since you can spam your grenade a lot with this build, it's going to be getting a lot of kills. You get even more super, so you can throw even more Nova Bombs. Now for my arms, I am going to be running a Kinetic Loader. Once again, you can swap this out with whatever primary you are running just to reload the gun a little bit faster. But I am going to be playing into Momentum Transfer and Bolstering Detonation, so I will gain class ability energy, and I will also gain melee energy every single time I deal damage with my grenade. Both of these will provide a 12% bump to your energy, and since you are going to be able to throw grenades a lot with Devour, these are just very nice to have. Now for our chest piece, always go with resistant mods. Just swap these out for whatever content you're going into. And now for my boots, I do like to take an Orbs of Restoration, so whenever I pick up an orb, it will grant 10% energy to my least cooldown ability. Since this is mainly going to be my grenade all the time, you're just going to get 10% grenade energy back for your grenade, which is very, very nice. And then on top of that, I'm also going to be taking an Innervation, so whenever I pick up an Orb of Power, this will also grant me 10% energy specifically to my grenade. So now every single time you're picking up orbs, you're going to be getting even more grenade energy alongside Devour, which can also grant more grenade energy. And then I just run a Scavenger mod based on whatever heavy weapon I'm running. Having a Scavenger mod just to have more heavy ammo in Onslaught is nice, but if you just want to go pure into energy, you could also take something looking like an absolution. And the reason I don't take recuperation is because every time you pick an orb up with starvation, you're getting devour anyway, so you don't really need this to bump your health. So that's why I just opt in to take these mods that I am running. Now finally, it's going to be our class building. We've already went over proximity ward and bulwark finisher, but we will also be taking powerful attraction, so whenever we use our class ability, we can pick up all the orbs around us. This is nice because this will play into our orb based mods, also grant us devour, and since we can spam our class ability a lot with our void breaches and we want to do that to proc dynamo, we can just also pick the orbs up to further grant super energy and again play into everything else that is based on orb pickup. And now for the most important part of the build, this is the transmog I am running. If you would like to copy it down, I definitely went for a very medieval, almost Bloodborne-esque looking character. I think it turned out looking absolutely sick. Felwinter's Helm honestly is one of the coolest looking exotics in the game in my opinion. I even combined it with the Witcher chest piece to have the swords on the back and have my arms that's also kind of given like feathers or fur coming out of it. I think it looks absolutely sick. And once again, if you just want to make your Warlock look like this, definitely be sure to copy it down. But all right, that is going to do it all for this build. Let me know what you all think about it in the comment section below. I know Well of Radiance paired with Sunshot is extremely strong, but once again, if you want to swap things up, I definitely think this build can compete with that, if not better in some situations, and just being able to finish everything and applying almost every single void debuff in the game while also providing you a lot of other benefits is very, very strong. I've been using this build for a while and I'm happy it finally gets to shine in something like Onslaught, and if you haven't tried it out, I would definitely recommend giving it a shot. Anyway, so that's going to do it all for me. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.